it's Ashley, aka Scenario Spanish, where I provide easy to use resources to save you time and energy, reduce your workload while you are lesson planning. Today we're going to talk about how you can match your own needs in your classroom as you're choosing what you're doing in the style of teaching for your students. I think sometimes we have this idea that we have to be the center of attention, or we have to be the person who is like super high energy while you're delivering input for your students just to make it engaging and compelling for them. And that's just not the case. So we're going to talk about kind of a balance of activities in terms of high energy and low energy, but we're also going to talk about things that are high prep and things that are low prep. Right now, what I want you to do is just take a second to kind of think on your own teaching practices. Are there any things that you tend to do over and over again? Like, are your go-to activities high prep? Are they low prep? And I just really quickly, before you really start thinking about this, I just want to note that I know that when we're referring to high energy and low energy, there's almost two different energy levels in your classroom, right? There's your own energy and what you're having to put into the activity. And then there's also the energy level of your students, right? Sometimes something that's super low energy for you is very high energy for them, and vice versa, right? Something that is really high energy for you is really low energy for them. Maybe you want to make a list, maybe you want to draw a chart. I'll show you a chart example here on the screen. It could maybe look something like this, but I want you to have a little bit of time to just reflect on your practices. So now that you've kind of thought about where your go-to favorite activities fall in terms of high energy, low energy, high prep, and low prep, what I want you to think about next is if anything is missing, right? Do you, when looking at your activities, have just like a ton of high energy, high prep activities, but not a lot of low energy, low prep? Or maybe you have some really good high energy, low prep, but you don't have any low energy, low prep. I want you to think about, right, is there anything missing? And then I want you also to consider the reverse. Is there anything that's on this list of like go-to activities for you that falls into an area that just doesn't like jam with your teaching style, right? Is there anything that you could just cut and you'd not be sad if you never did that activity again? And you probably have several activities that are on your list of like go-to activities, but all I want you to do is to put in the comment box below one activity that you find yourself doing over and over again throughout a school year. And the reason why I'm asking you to put something in the comment box below is not only because I can see that and I can learn from you, but also because everybody else who watches this video will then be able to go down to the comment section and say, hey, what are other teachers saying is a go-to activity for them? Maybe it's something that you do all the time and this other person has never heard of it. So what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna share a bit of an idea dump. I'm just gonna share a whole pile of activities that I think could fit into each of kind of those categories, like high energy, high prep, low energy, high prep, low energy, low prep, high energy. I'm gonna share things that I think could fit into kind of each of those sections. One more really important thing before we get into the idea dump is that I want you to consider how you can meet your needs and how you can meet their needs, right? Those two pieces really have to function well together in order for that classroom environment to be a positive one for everyone. Last thing I want to mention is that it's okay to trash plans if they just aren't working for you. So like if you're in the middle of an activity and you're finding that it's just not working for you, cut it, like be done. Say, okay, we're gonna do something else. And it's nice to have some backup plans, some backup activities that you can lean on for things like that. And I do have some ideas for you that are like bailout activities that I'll make sure to link for you here, just in case you need them. So we are gonna start with high energy, high prep, and I'm just gonna give you a couple options. The first one is La Silla Caliente, and this is from Erin Coleman over at the Engaged Spanish Classroom. It's a whole class game. The teams earn points for their answers to the questions depending on which seat they are sitting in. She's got a more detailed explanation for you. I'll make sure to link that below. High energy, lots of playing, but prep for you in terms of what questions you're asking the students. The next high energy, high prep game that I have for you is Scrambled Sentences. You basically write pieces of sentences on cards and students have to scramble them and put them in order. The way that I do this activity is super duper high energy because I have my students in pairs all over the classroom, and as soon as they think they have a sentence in order, they put their hand in the air, and I'm like I sweat when I do scrambled sentences because I like run from pair to pair and tell them yes or no or flip things or whatever, and it's super high energy for me. I have a colleague who does scrambled sentences and we usually do them on the same days, and she is super chill about doing them. she puts up the answer cards on the whiteboard and the students go check. And like both of those things are fine. I love the high energy of scrambled sentences and I don't mind that I sweat when I do them, but it's just a way for you to consider that different spin. Another high energy, high prep activity is to have a special guest come in for special person. And I have a blog post where I detail what I mean by this and how to set it up and everything. Basically, the first time I do special person interviews, I like to bring in another member of the staff or an admin person and have them be in the hot seat, be our special person. But it does take some planning and it does take some scheduling because, right, their prep period might not line up with mine, or if they're an admin, they might have 1,000 meetings, or whatever the case may be, but there's a lot of payoff for it. This is a great game and the students love it and they get a lot out of it, but it takes a lot out of me. So it's not something that I do very often, but it's a great game. So if you've never checked out the Unfair game, I'll make sure to link to a blog post describing how to play that from the Comprehensible Classroom down in the description box below. Okay, now we're gonna talk about high energy but low prep activities. Corre en Círculos, which you've heard me talk about before, is one of my favorite high energy, low prep activities. It's a scavenger hunt style game. If you've never played it, I'll make sure to link my playlist on it for you here somewhere on the screen. Human Bingo is a great high energy, low prep game. Students just walk around and answer each other's questions and sign each other's pieces of paper. Digital games are something that I would call high energy and low prep, especially if you're using the pre-made ones. Sometimes when you have to make them yourself, they're a little bit more prep, but if you're using like the database of games, I'm thinking things like Kahoot, Quizlet Live, quizzes, GameKit, like that kind of digital game. Last but not least, for high energy, low prep is Tabata Timeline. This is a reading activity. I have a video explaining how to do it here. Basically what it is students put events in order and they're doing it to a timer. So super fast and they're rotating throughout. Again, high energy, but really there's no prep for you involved other than maybe making copies if you want to. Okay, now we're gonna talk about low energy and low prep. The first one on this list for me is the most important sentence, and this is from Eric Richards. It's one of my all-time favorites. Students just need a reading, and they narrow down the text until they find the one most important sentence in it. Another low energy, low prep are the two websites Textivate and TeachVid. These are two websites that are digital tools that were designed by somebody who understands language acquisition. They basically have students do different games and different activities with the language chunks, and it's created automatically by this tool. Next low energy, low prep is called Read and Screenshot. I have a video explaining how to do this, but it is exactly what it sounds like. You write sentences that go with the video, students watch the video, and then they grab screenshots based on what they read. The last activity I have for you I found in a Facebook group, and I really like it. It's just called Find the Spanish. You say a sentence in English, and the students are looking at a piece of text, and they just find where that is in the text. Okay, now we're gonna talk about low energy, high prep. For me, a blind Kahoot is something that I would call low energy, but is a little bit of higher prep because you have to build the Kahoot. Although, just like with the digital games before, sometimes you can find them pre-made. These are great for introducing new concepts to your students, but you can also use a blind Kahoot to tell a new story. Gallery walks are a great option for low energy, high prep, but I would say these are just high prep the first time if you're making the materials yourself. If you're not familiar with a gallery walk, basically you just hang materials around the classroom and the students walk around and interact with them. I have a whole playlist where I talk about gallery walks that I will make sure to link for you here, but they're one of my all-time favorite sort of things. Grid puzzles are another great option for low energy, high prep. Basically, you cut apart pieces of a puzzle and students just line up the sides to match target language L1. It could be a picture and the target language, but they're completing a puzzle. Next, for my favorite low energy, high prep would be a combination of two things from two of my favorite bloggers. Basically, you're gonna combine Flipgrid and the interpretive quick quizzes from Senora Chase. Laura Sexton has a library of Flipgrid videos for novices created by people who are, used to speaking the target language for novices. And then Senora Chase has a bunch of activities that are basically interpretive quizzes that you can use with reading or listening, and you can use them with any reading or listening. So a video from that Flipgrid library plus an interpretive quick quiz from Senora Chase, beautiful. Just a quick reminder for you that I have these all linked down below in the description box. So I know that was a lot and it was really fast, but it was actually nowhere near all of the activities that I gathered for you when I was planning this video. So I actually have a spreadsheet of activities with about 100 different activities in there. I will make sure to link down in the description box below. Okay? As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a comment down below. Okay? I'll see you in the next one. Bye.